Hello, this is Tim Law with Playing It Forward Coaching. Always encouraging you getting a good marketable skill. Chase that skill with a great work ethic. Develop some people and communication skills. You'll be amazed what you can do in this country. A big thank you to about 550 people that subscribe to this channel, Playing It Forward Coaching. If you haven't already, please do so. I'd super appreciate it. I got a really neat young guy that I just literally have just met recently, Shane Symonds, who is doing killer apps as far as Samsung is concerned. He's outstanding. Yeah, the genuine person really comes through. He's very much into educational marketing and helping people. So Shane, welcome. Tell us your story on how you got rolling here.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much, Tim, for having me first. And yeah, so how I got started. I mean, it's probably like a lot of other people's stories. It's not something that you wake up and just have this envisionment of this big YouTube channel happening or anything. It was just more so I just always had a genuine interest in tech and gadgets and things. And I myself was always going to YouTube to try and find informational videos on different products and like, is this worth it or not? Or what are the features and what kind of things do these things do? Because just TV advertisements alone don't really tell you the full story of all these different types of products. So it's very helpful to go online and just get someone else's personal opinion on things. But to some extent, that really didn't exist a couple of years ago, in my mind, at least. There was more so kind of entertainment style videos, and that just didn't really cut it for me when I'm thinking about spending $1,000 on something. So I just kind of found an area that I felt was missing on YouTube, and I just kind of brought my own interest into that. And I was lucky enough to get my hands on a product, the Samsung Galaxy Buds, when they were first released. I somehow got them like a couple days before other people did. So usually being first to anything on YouTube is more beneficial. It's going to get you that initial spike of viewership. So I did have that in mind and just kind of put out a little amateur video, and it it and I mean, to my surprise, it got about 10,000 views in 2 days, which was just shocking to me. So I just went down to my comment section and people were asking all these questions like, what is these features? How does it feel in the ears? How does it sound? All these basic questions. So I just basically made another video answering all of your questions on the Galaxy Buds. And that just kind of started the whole kind of informational, educational marketing, as you said. And I just really enjoyed helping people out, and I loved seeing the feedback that people would give. It was so nice hearing from other people. And I was always on the viewership end. So I would always be constantly watching videos. I would constantly be just kind of consuming all this media, consuming all this content, not really doing anything with it at the end of the day. But it felt so nice to kind of turn that around, and it feels nice to now kind of give back, for a lack of better terms, and just kind of bring videos to the platform that I felt didn't exist before. And I guess to some extent, it has helped some amount of people out there, since I have about 200,000 subscribers or so. So yeah, it just kind of started from a humble start, which I think is probably the same story for a lot of people. Everyone starts with 0 subscribers and everybody grows to their levels. It just comes down to how much reachability your kind of videos have. That is why I do focus more on Samsung products, because it is a worldwide reach for Samsung as far as their products being sold around the world, opposed to something like Apple, for example, is more so based in here in the States, and elsewhere, Apple is kind of viewed as a very much luxury product and not really affordable. An iPhone somewhere else around the world might cost $2,000 opposed to $1,000 here.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot less income in some other areas of the world. But with Samsung, they make very affordable products. They make $100 phones. So Samsung is just a name that's known around the world, and that's what helps kind of bring in additional viewership overall. So that's kind of how it started. That's how it happened, and that's how it kind of continues to keep on rolling for those reasons.
Sure. And Shane, how did the connection come between you and Samsung? Obviously, you were getting some good viewership because you were doing that educational marketing. How did that connection occur?
Yeah, so I was always an Apple user growing up. I had always had an iPhone. I was always dedicated to the Apple stuff, just like a lot of other people here in the States are. And just when I was at my first job, a coworker of mine had a Samsung phone and I knew nothing about it. And I just kind of had this naive curiosity about it. Like how have I not been exposed to like any of these other phones in my whole life? And I saw that this Samsung phone, it was the Galaxy Note 9. It had all these features. It had a stylus, it had a AMOLED display. The screen was much larger and had curved edges opposed to the standard, just like regular plain old iPhone. And I had just gotten an iPhone and I thought I was a hot shot, got the new iPhone 8 Plus or whatever it was. And then I saw that my coworker for the same exact price had this phone with all these features and all these functionalities. And I was just so like, I was so enamored by it.
Mhm.
So that's kind of what kind of sparked my personal interest in it. And just kind of having that own personal genuine curiosity that really does kind of get you going and kind of keeps you going, as far as if you're kind of getting into something, having that like deep down genuine interest. That I think that is a huge factor in getting things going. And that's how it got started for me. And it just kind of keeps going from that kind of from that kind of starting point of just that genuine interest. While I'm not a total Samsung user, this call is happening on a MacBook right now.
Mhm.
I do use an iPhone and a Samsung phone both. So I have both phones. I'm always trying to stay as well-rounded and exposed to all the products that are out there so I can give a more balanced opinion on whatever it is I happen to be covering in a specific video. But Samsung is always kind of pushing the boundaries. They're always making I don't want to say better, but they're always making something new, something cutting edge, where Apple, they're kind of 4 or 5 years behind all the time because they're making a very well-refined product that they know is going to definitely succeed. And they know it's definitely going to bring a lot of sales to them. So it's not necessarily a safer route, but I love that Samsung kind of pushes the boundaries with their types of products. Like the phone I'm using that I'm still using, it's almost been out for a year now, which in the tech world is like a long time, but
Mhm.
the Galaxy Fold 3.
Mhm.
So when I first got into this, I was obsessed with the phone that was just like a regular phone, but now I have this phone that just completely folds up and opens
Wow.
up into an entire tablet.
Mhm.
And it can just fit in your pocket just like any other phone. So that just kind of summarizes and still shows like I still have excitement for this stuff, even though I've been kind of obsessing over it for a couple years now at this point. Samsung is just constantly trying to innovate and make new products to help as many people as possible enjoy their technology and things. And like I said, they have these premium foldable devices, but then they also have $100 phones. So there's just so much reachability with them, and they're trying to make as many products for as many people as possible. And that leaves room for someone like me to come in and try and help people make an educated purchasing decision, because there's
Mhm.
just so many options out there. It's even confusing for me personally to keep track of all the phones. They come out with 30 phones a year. So
Huh. Wow.
it's a lot of work just for me personally to keep up with all the different Samsung products.
Sure, sure. So, how is your relationship with Samsung? Obviously, they've got to be pretty happy that a genuine person such as yourself is, doing this educational marketing. So, how is the relationship with you and this amazing company?
Yeah, so at first it was very quiet. I probably made videos for a year and a half,
Hmm.
and I didn't really hear anything from them at all. And it kind of got to a point where I didn't really expect to hear from them, and it was more so just like I'm just kind of doing my own thing,
Hmm.
and they don't necessarily want to work with everybody, and I get that, so I get why they make their decisions and things. But eventually, at some point within the last year or so, I was reached out to by a PR company. Usually it's not Samsung directly reaching out to people. Samsung themselves, the company, they're focused on just manufacturing the products and
Hmm.
shipping them and selling them. And they kind of outsource all of their marketing, all of their other sort of things. So basically, I was reached out to from a team that was just working on behalf of Samsung, and they still work on behalf of them. And they kind of manage all of the media relations. So these people are also talking to all the other tech YouTubers that you see out there,
Hmm.
whether it's the like biggest guy, top of the food chain, or kind of someone my size of channel.
Hmm.
So they eventually reached out and just said that they love what has been happening and that they just want to work with me. So basically what happens now is that sometimes I get sent the products ahead of time. So there'll be a product that I can't tell anybody that I have it or say that it exists. I have to sign a contract saying
Sure.
like I'm not going to spill the beans on this. And it's really nice to get the product a couple weeks in advance, and then you get some time to actually use the product, and then I can give an even better of a video straight out the gate. When they initially announce the product, I can already have a video out that fully explains it, opposed to the usual game of YouTube of just buying it as fast as you can, getting it shipped as quickly as you can, and then trying to get your thoughts together on it as quick as possible, because there's hundreds of other people out there that can make the same exact videos and do the same thing. So there is always kind of a rush to get the videos out to some extent. But now that I've been working with Samsung a little bit more, they don't send me every single product because Samsung is still very confusing. There's like 50 different Samsungs depending on which country you're in. So like the main Samsung is not here, but they have a Samsung US, they have a Samsung Canada, Samsung Mexico. It's just there's so many different Samsungs. So I'm more so working with the Samsung US just because I'm here in the US. And it's not like they just send me everything now. And I still spend my own money on pretty much every product I purchase because I feel like that's very important to kind of get a better feeling of it. It's not just, oh, Samsung's sending me all this stuff. And
Sure.
it just really, I think it kind of clouds your opinion of something if you don't have the price in mind. So I still spend my own money on pretty much every product I purchase. And that kind of goes in with just being just kind of as genuine as a person as possible when making your videos and things.
Sure, sure. No, that makes total sense. And what really just stuck out to me with the great things you're saying is that you kind of were going at this for like a year and a half, didn't hear anything, but because you love the product, you got a passion for it, you just kept putting these things out. And over time, because of the exposure that you were given Samsung, obviously then they reached out to you. But I love the idea that you persisted for like a year and a half,
Yes,
before actually hearing anything. So that's a great skill for any of us to
definitely.
use there. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of persistence. And just with this social media stuff in general, it's something that once it gets going, you really have to keep on it. So that is what I did for that kind of year and a half, 2 year stretch or so. Now that I'm a little more settled, I'm not as like crazy staying up all night every night, like just absolutely grinding out videos and things. I've kind of trying to have a more kind of good life sort of balance.
Mhm.
Uh, but yeah, back then during that kind of year and a half grind, I was still working a full-time job. So
Mhm.
it's kind of more so you always kind of have your full-time thing, whether it's school or a job
Mhm.
or whatever it is you're doing. But then to kind of get to where you want to, you kind of have to put in that extra time in that different area. So you might, you might be working 8 hours a day or whatever, but then that extra 4 hours you have at the night, you have
Mhm.
to be spending that time putting it all into whatever it is you're trying to get to, opposed to just being stuck wherever you are and just thinking, how can I get out of this and how can I switch my life into what it is that I really want it to be, opposed to just working this crappy job or
Mhm.
whatever it may be. You have to really just put in that time, and it does eventually pay off, even though it may not seem like it at first.
Sure, sure. Well, you're building the foundation. You're doing that, as I refer to as going the extra mile above and beyond, rather than coming home from that 8-hour job and just doing, mindless, gaming or mindless, social media nonstop.
Right.
You create a very cool niche for yourself. And I think
Yes.
this conversation you and I are having is so incredibly important that other people can do various things if you can find that niche.
Yes, I was stuck on the viewer side for a very long time. I still kind of am. I literally try to make sure that I'm not on YouTube for a very long time because personally, I feel like I am addicted to it because I just open it up and I just start watching things, and then
Mhm.
like 2 hours pass.
Yeah.
So it's something that I still struggle with even where I am now, and that's honestly why I kind of made videos too, is because for so long, like when I was in college, I would just watch so many videos all the time, and it was at a point where it wasn't really benefiting me.
Mm-hmm.
So I just kind of came to this realization. It got to a breaking point where it's like, all right, well, I'm either going to be just watching videos all the time, or I'm going to be making videos instead
Mm-hmm.
of just watching them all the time.
Sure.
And it's a way of kind of redeeming all that time of just spent watching all these things. Um, and social media in general just kind of sucks you in and gets you hooked on it because everybody is making something that is watchable. That's
Mm-hmm.
like that's the point of all of it. The watch time, and that's like the biggest metric to all of the social media companies and things like that. And that's kind of what drives it. Is people are always going to be putting their best effort forward to make something that's watchable. So if you're not mindful of that, then you're just going to be watching things all the time because it's fun to watch. It's enjoyable to watch.
Mm-hmm.
So it just kind of gets to a point where you just kind of realize that, all right, am I going to be spending the rest of my life just watching stuff, or am I going to be kind of turning that around and putting it into something that can have some real life positive results?
Sure, sure. Well, and one of the things I heard years ago as far as personal development is that when you're continually just watching, whether it's YouTube or television or whatever, you're watching other people achieve their goals.
Right.
And you flip
Yes.
that very brilliantly from the idea that, hey, I want to create something that's going to move me toward my goals rather than just being a passive watcher of other people pursuing
Yeah.
their goals. So that's exactly what you've done, and therefore created the value of the educational marketing, and just phenomenal what you've done, for to assist so many people.
Exactly. I honestly believe that anybody is capable of doing what they set their mind to. If you have the passion, if you have the skills, it can take a while to figure those things out. Like, what is it that I'm good at, or what is it that I actually like? Those things can take a while to figure out,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it is it for me, it always feels way better to make something than it is to watch something at this point,
Mm-hmm.
even though it's so much easier to watch things because it's someone put their they just put so much time and effort into these videos, and that's why they get so many views, because they realize a 10-minute video might take a whole week to make.
Mm-hmm.
So when people watch that, it's like, oh, well, I don't have to give up a week of my time figuring out all this stuff with whatever this video is about. I can just watch the 10-minute video and just move on. So it's always easier. And it always feels easier in the moment to just watch something, but it takes a lot more work to make it. But in the long term, it always feels better to be making something than it is to watching something. At least that's how it is for me personally.
Sure, sure. Well, and it goes along with, again, the part of the personal development, and you're nailing it beautifully. There's two main ways that we really feel good about ourselves. Number one is our personal accomplishments, such as yours. The other one is being able to get along with, good interpersonal relationships. So you're creating both of those things because you're coming across as genuine, and yet assisting people, kind of being the pioneer out front with this great product in a very genuine way. So this is why, as far as your own happiness factor, you're really dialed right in between that personal accomplishment and the wide range of human good human relationships. So I really applaud you on that. It's incredible, what you're doing. What advice, Shane? I don't want to take too much more of your time. This has been great. What advice would you give, let's say, teens and young adults? And you've already given some great advice, but your last second thoughts here, and can you stick around for a minute or two after we're done?
Yes, certainly. So my advice to teens and young adults, maybe those who are just kind of on YouTube or on social media and things like that, is just be mindful of the time that you are spending on all these platforms and things.
Well said. Well said.
It might not seem like a big deal in the moment of just kind of watching things, but if you really kind of take a step back and maybe check the analytics of your phone or something and see, oh, well, I just spent 3 hours on TikTok or
Mm-hmm.
whatever it may be. That is always time that could potentially be spent building your own brand, or maybe you could be making your own TikToks, or
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you could be making something that no one else has made before, and maybe there's something out there, there's a niche that kind of has yet to be filled. I feel like there's always opportunity on any of these social media things. There's so much potential that is there, and that's why so many people are making all this content to start with. So I'm not saying that being a content creator is cut out for everybody. It is a lot of stress and a lot of work, but just try to find what it is that you are most passionate about and just try to pursue that as much as you can. And if you are stuck at school or stuck in a situation that you're doing something you don't want to do, you have to spend that free time outside of that, put it towards whatever it is that you do have in your mind, in the back of your head, like, oh, it might be cool to try and dabble in this or do something like this. Just be very mindful of the time you are spending on social media and things.
Mhm. Very good. I couldn't think of any better advice than that, Shane. That's very well said, and absolutely, are you using it for a time drain or whatever? And not only that, but your energy. I mean, just the idea of watching, you're draining your own battery from
Mhm.
the standpoint when you could be creating something that could be of value to other people. So this has been fantastic. I super appreciate it. And you're good for a minute or two after we're done here,
Yes.
sir?
Yep.
Great.
Thank
Well,
you so much.
thank you, Shane. I super appreciate it. And all the best to you and your family there.
Thank you so much, Tim.